You're the co-founder of GSR. You're the S, actually, of GSR, one of the largest market-making firms in crypto, with Wintermute.
Better than Wintermute.
Why did you leave a firm that is better than Wintermute?
Well, taking a step back and doing what you believe matters. You know, Satoshi, he brought us Bitcoin, and this meant that we didn't have to trust the government and the money they printed. We didn't need to trust the bank to send that value. The real reason Bitcoin is capturing the majority of the value is because of the importance of what Bitcoin means and the fact that it provides a store of value that people trust. What Bitcoin is to payments, yellow is to trading, and the trading industry is 10 times bigger than the payment industry. With Satoshi's philosophy, you understand that there was a missing piece, and jokingly, not financial advice, tell them to sell their house and buy Bitcoin. This is an industry revolution.
Hey, When Shift Happens family. Welcome to Drops, a podcast series where we showcase smaller rising star projects in the crypto space. Since When Shift Happens started to take off, we've received hundreds of requests from many great projects every month that we had to say no to because they weren't a good fit yet in terms of size and impact. But this has now changed with the Drops podcast series. We're building When Shift Happens, the most credible platform in crypto. And there is no reason why smaller projects with big potential shouldn't have a chance to be heard. Drops is not a research service nor an endorsement, but a way to give a voice to the potential big crypto founders of tomorrow. Last time we started to talk about fasting. That was a good one. Have you been fasting ever since?
No.
Last time was September 2023, right?
Yeah, over a year ago.
That's actually over a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Wow, that's scary. No fasting in the last year and a half ago. Like no. No time, no willingness. It doesn't need to be 28 days. It could be like a couple of days, couple of hours.
No, I just didn't fast. I guess sometimes you fast, sometimes you don't. I didn't fast, no.
Actually, for me too, to be honest. Like I used to be very kind of religious about that every year, at least one time.
Yeah.
If I look the last 2-3 years, disaster.
Yeah, maybe when you need it, or like, if you're okay, I'm going to do it now.
Yeah, for sure. You were talking about Chiang Mai, talking about fasting and good things for health. And you live in Chiang Mai, right? In Thailand. And I was saying, I have a good story about that. Actually, I went 2019 to become a Reiki master. I don't know if you know about Reiki, but I did that in Chiang Mai. And spent a month there. And remember, it's the first time I was riding a scooter, I think, ever. And so in the first hour, I was with a friend of mine. We're both doing Reiki Masters. We were both on the same scooter that we got from this Airbnb, free with the Airbnb. So you're like, oh, it's awesome. We don't have to pay for a scooter, which anyway would be very cheap, right? What we didn't think is if it's free, maybe we should kind of check the scooter beforehand, right? So the brakes, terrible. The tires, terrible. Tires, I think.
Tires, yeah. Terrible.
We didn't know, right? So it was probably 40 degrees. We're driving. He was in front. And then there is this kind of car like cutting the road for us. So he just like obviously like brakes really hard. We just fall on the floor, like open like ourselves. And then he was super scared, right? And he had driven before already many times. And he's like, Kevin, I don't want to go on this thing anymore. You take the scooter. So I was... we were going into this first session of Reiki, and then I was like, okay, no problem. And then I got into an accident with him on the back. So we basically fell twice in the first hour ever I drove a scooter, right?
Yeah.
And then I never fell ever since, right?
Okay.
Because I guess that's how you learn, right? You fall,
and
then you realize you're not the king of the world.
The Reiki was helpful?
The Reiki was... I mean, you do this thing and you feel like warm hands and everything, but we were wondering in the beginning, do we feel warm hands because of Reiki or because we had our hands burnt from the floor and from falling? No, Reiki was great. I loved it. It was actually an amazing experience. All done in Chiang Mai.
And now you're a Reiki healer?
I mean, I never really used it to... It was for me, actually, because I had health issues, and then I was doing it to a bunch of people. But I never used this Reiki power to make any money or to try to make a business out of it, for sure. Crypto podcasting more interesting.
Wow. Oh, I didn't know that.
The cool thing with Reiki is that you can do distance Reiki. Podcasting, if you want to do it in studio, you cannot do that. So
yeah.
How are you doing, Alexis?
Happy to be here. Happy to be here in Hong Kong.
You came straight from your boat.
Yeah.
You tell me more about your passion for boats and sailing.
I was stuck in COVID in Europe, and I just thought, like, I can't do another confinement. And through one of these confinements, I saw a family sailing around the world and being free. And as crypto people, we always search this freedom, you know. And I found it, you know, and we sailed from Europe, across the Atlantic, through the Caribbean, Panama Canal, crossing the Pacific, French Polynesia, and now the boat is in New Zealand. And it's really a lifestyle that connects you with nature, and it makes you understand who you are.
Who are you?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'm a father of 8, a husband of 2. And
that's something you didn't want to share last time. That's also, there is some progress. We need to talk about that. Oh man, this is going to be a 5-hour podcast. I'm a father of 8, a husband of 2. I've never heard that before. I've never heard anyone say that before. I mean, you, right? But not publicly.
I mean, that's concerning my personal... I mean, I'm somebody connected to Earth and humanity. And regarding work, like, I'm here as a catalyst to complete Satoshi's vision, with all the respect I have for Bitcoin and what Satoshi built. But yeah, I would guess that would define me, like, in the private, in how I'm connected to Earth, like my nature and my work, yeah.
What is your mission?
Well, of course, my first mission is taking care of my family and my loved ones, and that's my priority. But my mission in work and life is, you know, Satoshi, he brought us Bitcoin, and this meant that we didn't have to trust the government and the money they printed. We didn't need to trust the bank to send that value. And Vitalik's team, he brought us these smart contracts, so we didn't need to trust people to do arbitration. And what's missing in the ecosystem is, what is different between humanity and animals is the trading part. And the trading, we still need to trust a third party. And what Yellow is bringing is trading without trust, in the same way as Satoshi envisioned this trustlessness.
Let's get back to the Bitcoin part, right? Because you talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and now trading. And we'll go through all of that. You're a very early adopter and evangelist of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
More than 10 years.
Yeah.
Why was Bitcoin such a revolution that you decided to spend a lot of your time evangelizing it more than 10 years ago?
In the early days, in the Bitcoin meetups, everybody was talking about the philosophy and what it meant, and they were talking about the history of money and how there was this stone in this Polynesian country that was like 3 or 5 tons, I don't know how heavy it was, and it belonged to me, and I gave it to you, and there was a ledger of who owned it, and how important was that, and how Bitcoin adopted it. So you had to understand about the history of money, and you had to understand about the concept of money and what money meant, but you also had to understand about technology. And those two, the people that understood about the two was a very, very small subset. And that subset is incredibly rich today, because those that were early, like, and evangelizing, like Roger Ver, Bitcoin Jesus, and everybody who was really like excited about it, really like understood, and we wanted to evangelize. Me in particular, I had a Bitcoin and poker game, and I was bringing Bitcoin people and poker people together. And you know, if you were a poker player and you suddenly won the game and there was a Bitcoin wallet with $100, $200, you made the effort to install a Bitcoin wallet. And that's how I brought people into Bitcoin. And some of those became ultra rich. One of them sold his house for Bitcoin, 1,100 Bitcoin.
You talked about trustlessness, right? That's
Yeah.
why it's so key. What is trustlessness? Explain simply to one of your 8 kids.
My 5-year-old daughter wanted some headphones. And, we wanted her to earn those headphones. So we told her that when she completes 8 good deeds, she would have the headphones. So we did a board and put the headphones there. And every time she completed a good deed, we put 1 point on that board. And when we removed it, when she did something bad, so maybe we removed 1 point. But when she got her 8 deeds, she could get her headphones. And there was a set of rules, and the headphones was there. She didn't need to trust us. She just needed to follow the rules, do good deeds, do her bed. It's maybe not such a good example, but it's really moving the concept of trust. I mean, it's difficult for a 5-year-old to understand trustlessness because they are so trusting kids.
Mm. Where do you think trustlessness should be applied or used the most urgently? And why?
Well, we started with store of value, and that seems to have kicked off. It's a 2 trillion market cap Bitcoin, and people understand that. People are starting to grasp the concept, and 2 trillion market cap shows it. And then there is payments. Payments is still not kicking in. But, slowly USDT, which is working on blockchain, is transferring value, and it's... so we're using transfers of value without banks already, with things like USDT. We still trust the government for a stable coin because crypto still doesn't provide that. It's lovely to trust people, and that's how businesses are created. I trust somebody I do business with, and that's why I do business. But imagine if I didn't need to trust him and the result was guaranteed, how business could evolve and how humanity could evolve, and the exponential growth we could have in business and in our economies and innovation if we didn't need to trust the people that we interact with. So of course it's nice. Today we are limited. This trust is a limitation to growth, to innovation, because we can only do business and we can only trade and we can only work with people with trust, and that's great, but it really limits innovation and growth in the economy. Removing the trust is going to allow humanity to evolve and trade more, to grow more, to innovate more. That's why it's urgent. It's removing this barrier, which is great, and it feels great to do business with who we trust, and it's in humanity's DNA, but imagine going to the next level of humanity where we can do business with people we don't trust.
So basically much faster, much more efficient, right? You said Bitcoin is 2 trillion.
Yeah.
Total crypto market cap about 3 trillion, so it's 2/3.
Yeah.
Why is Bitcoin value 2/3 of the whole crypto market cap when we have millions of coins out there?
Yeah. The real reason Bitcoin is capturing the majority of the value, it's because of the importance of what Bitcoin means and the fact that it provides a store of value that people trust. Like this, always this trustless, but like people trust Bitcoin to keep their generational wealth. It's a place. It's an asset I would buy and to keep for the next generation. That's. And of course, people are speculating with the value, and it's a very good speculative asset. It's very volatile, and it's a very interesting asset. It's like gold, but it's transferable, it's digital, it's fungible, and it's just, go back to the start, it's the history of money and merged with technology. It's such an important thing in our era. That's why, and The movement just went on. It started very organically. I don't think there has been anything as organic as Bitcoin. Fast, but very organic. It's me telling my friend, telling my friend, telling my friend, and it's been just growth, growth, growth. Despite all the friction from banks, from regulators, from institutions, there's been so much friction to get to where we are, and there still is a bit, but hopefully that's going to change, yeah.
We see institutions adopting crypto since early 2024, so that was a massive change.
Yeah.
But it's only, it's mainly through ETFs, right? ETF creation, which means that crypto is considered as an asset class. So it's on the investment side.
Yeah.
You mentioned before trading, right?
Yeah.
Which is on the institutional side, we have investment where crypto has the kind of stamp of approval through these ETFs. But another area of finance that crypto can massively improve is trading.
Yeah.
And it's not yet used by the big institution with all their trillions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
It's not because they don't want to. It's because they don't trust. No big institution wants to trade against the next FTX. But if you give them, and when we give them a means with Yellow Network to trade against the next FTX and guarantee them that if the venue goes down, they will not have any losses, of course they'll be trading. Bitcoin and crypto in general is is an asset class that is very risky, very volatile, but it's also very interesting to trade. And if we can remove the risk barrier, they're all going to jump into crypto, and they're going to jump very, very heavily, and we'll see a big adoption of crypto by institutions.
Why is the crypto trading infrastructure not ready yet for the big money of traditional financial firms?
So this is the problem we're trying to fix. So blockchain as we know it today is 30,000 computers supervising what's going on. And trading is ultra high is a high frequency thing. And you can't have 30,000. It's not efficient. It's very easy to understand. You can't have 30,000 people or computers supervising what's going on. It's never going to be fast. Like governments are like 500 people or 200 people, and you understand the bureaucracy of how that slows things down. So we need a way to safely trade one-to-one and maybe have a smart contract or adjudicator that is there only for when things go wrong. So that's what state channels is. And state channels is a very recent technology. It was only proposed in 2015. That's like after half of the life of Bitcoin, so it's quite recent. And then we had Lightning Networks. That was like some sort of tests with state channels on Bitcoin. And then in 2021, in November, finally, Consensus had some general state channels development. And it was only like 2022, like only a couple of years ago, that we actually had a software that we can use to solve this purpose for trading. And now we're building it. And very, very soon, there's so much money involved in trading. It's the biggest industry in the world that, now that we have the right technology, everybody's going to jump on the opportunity to build infrastructure for trading.
You mentioned Yellow Network a couple of times.
Yeah.
I think it's written on your beautiful hat too.
My hat, yeah. Bitcoin Yellow. And Bitcoin is the inspiration.
What is Yellow Network if you had to explain it to your mom?
I told my mom I believe so much in this. I told my mom, and she invested 30,000 euros. I told her, believe in me. And what I told her, as simply as I could, what Bitcoin is to payments, Yellow is to trading. And the trading industry is 10 times bigger than the payment industry. That's all I told her. And I wouldn't tell my mother to invest if I wasn't so sure this is... So, yeah.
So Bitcoin removes the trust for payments, Yellow removed the trust for trading. And therefore, the big financial institution from the traditional finance who manage trillions of dollars can come and trade in crypto, which they can't now, or they can, but at much lower scale.
Exactly.
Because they don't trust the entire system that we put together.
So what I learned in my previous company is that it's just as important to reduce the risk than to increase the reward. So a lot of crypto traders, they're always thinking about the next meme coin and how much they're going to win. But what's really important in trading and in general, in life in general, is reducing the reward, to have this compound interest that Warren Buffett loves. And he says, like, you know, if you have to chain one trade with the next trade with the next trade. But it's all about reducing the risk.
Because you're breaking the compounding if you have a catastrophic event, right? So how do I limit my downside?
Yeah.
Which is how all these firms in traditional finance, they think.
Yeah.
And which is how all our monkey brains of little crypto gambling addicts don't think, right?
Don't think, yeah.
We don't think like that. You're the co-founder of GSR. You're the S, actually, of GSR, one of the largest market-making firms in crypto.
Yeah.
With Wintermute.
Better than Wintermute.
Why did you leave a firm that is better than Wintermute to build Yellow Network? You could just spend the rest of your life sailing on a boat and chilling. But you're deciding to spend all your time on Yellow Network. Why?
Well, taking a step back and doing what you believe matters is really the reason. Of course, I love my co-founder and we did a great job, but I thought it was time to not be involved in the day-to-day of GSR, and he managed it very well. And I really thought this was a problem I wanted to fix. It took me like a couple of years just to articulate the problem and think how I was going to fix it. And then I merged with another company, and together we have been building the solution. But it was very complicated because it's like when, you know, like when Apple brought the iPod and they thought, okay, let's do digital music. And you would think it's just an iPod and it's that simple, but it required them to change an industry. It required convincing the music industry to accept, to go individually or subscription and be able to download all those things to the iPod. So it was not just a small iPod. That was not the difficult part, but it's really like we're really changing an ecosystem and there's so many things involved. And so that's why it took 6 years, but now we're ready.
Yeah, it needs to change also the narrative, right? And one of the things that people need to understand what you guys are doing is something called state channels.
Yeah.
That was invented by Consensus, one of the biggest...
Consensus worked on it. I think there was a paper in 2015. I cannot remember who did that paper. Everybody worked. It was a collaborative effort like the radio. Like the radio, it was not a single man's effort. It was many people did different parts, and then we have the radio.
What are state channels? Explain simply.
So, for example, when you go and buy coffee, and then you can pay every day, and you pay your coffee, or you can have a tab, and every time you order a coffee, they just mark one more coffee, or a tab at the restaurant, and every time you take a drink, they add to your tab. And then once you want to finalize, before you leave, you close the transaction, and that is what is written on the ledger, and you get one invoice. You don't get an invoice for every... So it's more efficient. You don't need to write it every time. You have your tab. Everything happens offline. And when I say offline, there is no tax records, but that's okay for the tax authorities, accepts that you have a tab, as long as it's settled whenever, you know, so maybe every day, every month.
I think an example that one of your colleagues gave me was also maybe for a kind of younger generation to understand. Splitwise. Splitwise is this application that a group of friends use. For example, if you have flatmates, right?
Yeah.
Or if you have a group of friends and you go on holiday and you don't want to, you're basically going to share money, right? Oh, I'm going to pay for this, I'm going to pay for that, etc. You want to have a place where you record every payment you do without actually doing the payment to one another. And at the end, you will owe some money to some people. Some people will owe money, and there's this final line,
net,
which is how much, who owes who what.
Yeah.
And the payment is done only once, right? Or the transaction is done only once.
Yeah.
And so state channels is that applied on Bitcoin would be for payments, right? Yeah. And applied to trading would be what you guys are doing. Streaming of money.
So it's streaming the profit. So the cool thing about state channels is that we are trading and we have locked some money. Like we have put $20,000 each on the table. Or $20, and depending how much you're trading, we both put some money on the table, okay, and this money is governed by a smart contract. So it's this automatic robot third party that is controlling, and we start to trade, and you're making some money, and state channels is streaming the money instantly to you, so you don't have to worry about me walking away and not paying you, because the money is being streamed. The profit, if I lose, it's being taken away from me, and if you win, it's being sent to me. So we have the money here, and then the profit is being streamed instantly. So if this is the money, and then we both locked money into the smart contract, and then as soon as I'm winning, everything is flowing to me automatically, but then the market turns and then it starts to flow to you, and this is state channels. It's like this flow in and out.
Is it correct to say that there was this thing called Lightning Network, right? I mean, there's still, right?
Yeah.
There was the big true die-hard Bitcoiner would talk about that years ago and say this is what's going to be used for payments. This is solving, because Bitcoin is supposed to be peer-to-peer electronic cash, not a store of value, right?
Yeah.
Then it became something else. But then the idea was, how do we use it as payment?
Yeah.
We do a sort of layer 2, right?
Yeah.
Lightning Network. Is it correct to say that this Lightning Network is using state channels?
Yeah.
So my question now is, this never really took off. Why?
I think there's two reasons. First, this thing of streaming money, it was not a real use case, they were saying, you will be able to watch your Netflix and stream for every second you're paying, but there was not really a use case for streaming money. Streaming profit, like I told you, everybody understands right away, and that's a real use case. But streaming money, it was never really a thing. And on top of that, it was very capital inefficient. Like if I wanted to send you $100 and there was 5 nodes, so every node needed $100. So I would need like $500 in the circuit for you to get $100. So that this capital inefficiency is like never going to work. And streaming money by itself is not a use case. And
so it's because the volumes of payments or microtransaction would be too small to justify the usage of that, versus when you say, hey, we're trading with big institutions coming to crypto, there is so much money involved that it's actually worth it. Or is that not correct take? Because I want to understand why in Bitcoin it didn't work or it didn't take off, but why in trading, right?
Yeah.
So why in payments it didn't really work, but why in trading it's more likely to work and to be the right solution to it.
Because imagine like a lightning network of me pointed to you and another one of me pointed to you, and we can transfer value all the time. That's a real use case that is very easy to understand that is going to work, because it solves a problem of trading against a counterparty and not needing to trust them. And usually transactions are just a one-time thing. It's not a trade. Like when you're trading and you haven't closed the trade, the price is constantly changing, and then it makes sense to stream profit. But it was a new development, and until 2022, we didn't even have the technology to develop this. So, but the use case of Lightning Network, it just was, I think it's capital inefficient. I don't think it's going to take off. It would be cool to use Bitcoin to transfer value instantly in Satoshis. I have Satoshi wallet. I love Lightning networks, but it's me and 3 other guys.
That's a start.
Yeah. It's not gonna take off. It's
so. You said it's me and 3 other guys regarding Lightning Network and Bitcoin payments.
Yeah, we pay each other.
Regarding trading, there is also you and 2 other guys who are big in the space, who are actually very excited about state channels.
Yeah, there's a few
for
people.
Trading. One of them is Chris Larsen, the founder of Ripple.
Yeah.
One of them is Paolo, the CEO of Tether.
Yeah.
Why are you, Chris Larsen from Ripple, and Paolo from Tether excited about state channels today in 2025?
I think for very different reasons. And it's nice that you mentioned these 3. So I think Chris Larsen, who invested in us, understands the need for the traditional industry to have a way to trade against crypto without they really understand, because they're in the payments industry and the cross-border payments, and countries not necessarily trusting each other and not wanting to go first. So but he understands the traditional side and what a value proposition it is for a bank or a broker to be able to trade without risk, So he understands it, and I think that's why he supports us. The Paolo Arduino has always been a strong proponent of Bitcoin, but Bitcoin with a capital B, the protocol, the philosophy, what it means, and he's always been pushing. I think Bitfinex was the first exchange to accept Lightning payments. So when you send Bitcoin from one exchange to the other, if it was Bitfinex, then it was like instant. And they're really, really pushing hard for this technology. And today with Tether, so they are, I think this is the biggest thing for Bitcoin in 2025. Tether will be on the Lightning network for USDT. So you will be able to send USDT through the Lightning network. And that's how much he believes in state channels and what state channel technology can be. And me, because like my background in trading and my background in technology, I'm really in this place where these early Bitcoiners that had a background in the history of money and the background in technology. So I'm really with my previous market maker and with my technology background, I really understood, and I can see the solution. I see this will be something big in the future. It's really going to change the industry, just like the iPod changed the music industry and everything changed around. And because there's money involved, it's not the same as I don't have friction from the traditional finance. I actually have people wanting to be the first, because they know that those that are the first on the yellow network are those that are going to make the money before the others. So I have actually brokers lined up asking me to be the first and saying, I have 7 developers here, they can help you.
So to understand where yellow fits in the stack, because you call yellow network a kind of layer 3, right?
Yeah.
Answer in a single sentence to the following. What is Bitcoin?
Bitcoin is in numbers we trust.
In numbers we trust.
Yes.
What is Ethereum?
Ethereum is an electronic arbitration system without the need of human beings.
So it's like an iOS or Android it's like a TCP/IP?
For resolving disputes.
But in the new internet, in the new world.
For resolving disputes or doing automatic actions, just like you would expect a program to do, a software program to do. How Vitalik called it when I had a phone, I invested in the ICO, and he told me it's a lightweight cloud computing logic. That's how he said it was.
What is DeFi, decentralized finance?
Decentralization is a word that has been prostituted by all these projects that don't understand the goal, and they are just talking about decentralization for decentralization. The goal is always trustless, to not need to trust, and decentralization was just a means to achieve that. it feels like people are just talking decentralized these, like decentralized that, like if we ever needed or wanted that. Decentralization is not a good thing.
So who do we trust? So it should be called trust finance, as you would say, right? Not decentralized finance.
Trust finance, yeah.
Who do we trust in DeFi today?
What do you mean?
What's the problem? Why is it not enough?
The problem of DeFi is that it's people looking at the next trend and not really trying to solve any problems.
So the reason I asked you about Bitcoin, Ethereum, DeFi, because I'm trying to simplify the ecosystem, Bitcoin, Ethereum, DeFi, exchanges, market makers.
Yeah.
And I want to understand, where does Yellow Network fit in an ecosystem where we have the Bitcoin network, the Solana network, the Ethereum network, exchanges such as Binance and Coinbase, market makers, liquidity providers. Mm-hmm. So I want people to have like a clear understanding, or okay, we have these different kind of stakeholders in this crypto ecosystem. Where does Yellow Network fit?
Very respectfully, yeah. So where is your mother in this ecosystem?
She's in. She was in Celsius and she got fucked.
Oh, she actually was actually part of the ecosystem.
She was, yeah, absolutely. She was a Bitcoin and ETH holder since 2019 because I put them into that.
Oh, okay.
And then she was in Celsius because I put them into that. Then I asked them to leave, but she didn't really do it. And she got fucked. Oh. Now she's probably a mix of, she has a cold wallet with her Bitcoin and her ETH, and maybe a bit on Coinbase.
Okay, I didn't expect her to be a sophisticated crypto. Okay. Well, normal people, let's say real world, the other 99%. I think there's 200 or 300 million in crypto, so it's quite a lot of people in crypto. But the other, 8 billion? The other 8 billion that are not necessarily in crypto today are accessing finance through all these other means, which is like brokers. If you're very, very rich, you might have a prime broker like JP Morgan. And if you're not so rich, maybe you go to Robinhood, and you trade there. And the whole ecosystem is not on Binance or on the exchanges. And what we're doing, we're building this highway connecting traditional finance, online brokers, high frequency traders into the crypto ecosystem. So that's why we call it infrastructure.
Why do you say that being early to Yellow Network is like being early to the NASDAQ or to the New York Stock Exchange?
So it's these early pioneers, they helped create the rules and build it. And today we're building this infrastructure connecting traders. And being early, it's being part of it, creating the rules, leading the way to what the industry needs. This is what I mean by being early. So, and this is an industry revolution. It's because it's a better way and there's a solution. I know, and I can see just from how it's received by institutions, there's going to be a strong push to move forward. When there's more money to be made, the push is strong. So being early is really also, well, it's like the people that were early in Bitcoin as well. You believe in the mission, and you also get the reward of being early in that industry. All the early industry players like Google, or today building a Google would be very, very difficult once Google has been established. But the thing about cryptocurrency is that it's a bit more democratic. It's not a single man's effort. It's a community's effort to push an idea we believe in together. So it's a bit like Linux. So that's what cryptocurrencies bring. It's not like a single company's effort. It's like a community effort to build something greater.
Isn't Solana supposed to be exactly that, a decentralized NASDAQ? That's how they say, since the beginning, the North Star is decentralized NASDAQ.
How to keep this positive?
You don't have to.
I think Solana is just maybe a faster Ethereum with more risk that has, I don't know why they market themselves as that. It's fundamentally built on the value of meme coins, and I don't think it's sustainable. It's not a currency or a chain that I would like to be involved in. I mean, of course we support Solana, but really what supports Solana is the value of all these meme coins. And of course meme coins have value, and people pumping meme coins and that value going back into Solana, and there's like this cycle should make people understand that the value of Solana doesn't have solid fundamentals like most of the other chains like Bitcoin or Ethereum. I mean, if the meme coin still existed, the problem is that Solana has been built on meme coins that have been pumped, and that value has been reinserted in Solana, and after that meme coin went to zero. So you understand this bridge has been building on value that doesn't exist anymore, but it has been created like that. It's a house of cards waiting to fall. And this must be very controversial for everybody in crypto. But I love meme coins. I buy some meme coins. I keep them, I hold them, or I don't hold them. But usually the value of it should revert, but it hasn't. That's the problem. I think there has been market manipulation or something. It's not.
I mean, I would argue. I mean, I love Bitcoin, I love Ethereum, I love Solana. I would argue that the same was happening on Ethereum last cycle with NFTs, and it's kind of like always these kind of Ponzi's that. But some people would say the first use case is always kind of gambling, but this attracts capital, and then that's where you have capital for more innovation. You test the networks with these big outflows, and also builders or whatever you want to call them, developers, they go where liquidity is. Last cycle was more Ethereum, this cycle is more Solana. So there's more liquidity, more.
But you have to remember who were the first big pushers of Solana and where they are today. And what happened when FTX dropped? Solana went to like $9, or what was it, like
$8? And
Serum died. Nobody talks about Serum, the big exchange that was going to happen on Solana. It's nice it recovered. It's a great technology. Especially what is great, it's a great community. It's great that they're building on top of Solana and bringing real people and really showing the people that the value is mostly in communities, And even Bitcoin, has a lot to learn from all these meme coins, The biggest meme, I'm not sure if you remember it, magic internet money. It's a 2 trillion meme today.
The meme in crypto is we memed Bitcoin into an asset class. If I go back home tonight and have dinner with my parents, and they ask me about this conversation we just had together, what's the main takeaway that I should bring home?
I'd love you to tell them that you probably already had, but now you see with Satoshi's philosophy, you understand that there was a missing piece, and jokingly, not financial advice, tell them to sell their house and buy Bitcoin. But no, I wish you would see it, and you would see why Bitcoin was important. Of course, you must know, but why Bitcoin was important, why Ethereum was important, and hopefully you understand, and you can evangelize, and you can let them join and explain why this is important. I mean, if she's already into crypto, she probably understands.
I made them read the Bitcoin Standard
by
Sebinianos and the Internet of Money by Antonopoulos to understand Bitcoin and then to understand Ethereum, right?
And they still love you.
I mean, they've been ETH bag holders, so like, yes, they love ETH.
Wow, nice. I didn't push it so far, but I love you did, because it means that you really believe in it, because like it's the people you love the most and you make them part of your journey.
Absolutely. 2019, I read this book late 2018, early 19, and I was like, this is such a no-brainer, Bitcoin and Ethereum, but I had to read these books. The Bitcoin Standard by Seb Dinamus and the Internet of Money by Antonopoulos, unfortunately, who is not much around anymore. The best educators were basically back then, and they would explain things to you so well. Why Bitcoin? Why Ethereum? It made complete sense, and I was like, "Mom, Dad, you need to buy Bitcoin." I think Bitcoin was around 5 or 6K, something like that.
Wow, fantastic.
ETH was around. We gave an ETH to my mother. They bought some in 2019, but then when there was COVID crash in 2020. ETH went to like $100, and we bought just after that. We bought 1 or 2 ETH and gave to my mother for her birthday and said, "We just keep that. One day it's gonna be worth 10K." The 10K meme, right?
Yeah,
we'll see if we get there. But
one Lambo.
Actually, it was not for Lambo, but it was for a down payment for a car.
Oh.
Right? She was like, "I need 18K." I mean, they had the money, but I was like, "Oh, well, these 2 ETH will be worth 20K one day."
Yeah.
But then she put them in Celsius, and then. So. Anyway, thank you, Alexis, for this great conversation and for dedicating all your time to build the really hard stuff when you could be just chilling on your boat and sailing the world for the rest of your life. Thank you for doing this.
It's not only me, it's over 100 people and over 300 man years. And I'm just here. I used the word catalyst before because this is the effort of so many people, and not even only Yellow, Consensus, so many other companies, Magmo, a lot of companies that have put a lot of effort for this to be a reality and humanity to enjoy. And it's a responsibility. It's a responsibility that when you know that this thing exists, to push it and to let everybody know about it. But really, I just had an idea, but it's really the team. It's the team that has put the effort.
And that's what I'm here for. And my entire team is here for, to try to forward, transmit the message and try to make it as easy as possible, which is why I always ask, explain that to your daughter, explain that to your mom. But it's hard, right? And we're all aware that it's very hard because it's deep tech and back-end tech and concept that a lot of people also don't even really know exist, right?
Yeah.
That was great. Thank you so much for doing this, Alexis.
Thank you.
Thank you.